Welcome to the Midwest Mayhem Podcast with your host Tyler and Lochie. This is where small town stories, wild headlines, and real conversations come together. We also shine a light on first responders, veterans, and on mental health.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midwest Mayhem Podcast. I'm your host Tyler.
And Lochie.
And this is our first time back in a couple weeks. Loch, how you feeling?
It was weird to actually, but it was nice to also have something to do today. So
that is true.
I am very glad to be back.
And it's on a Saturday. We don't record on Saturdays. No. We had to make a little bit of a makeshift schedule due to our guest here. But on today's episode, this is our 10th guest here on Voices of Valor.
I know, this is exciting.
10 people have wanted to talk to us. They must be something wrong with them. But episode number 3. We have Dylan Miner sitting here with us, and we also have a YouTube video now. We can actually see ourselves, Loch.
I know. I'm glad I put on makeup today.
Yeah, I didn't put any on. I'm sure my wife will yell at me later, but it is what it is. Dylan, how we doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you this morning?
I'm doing all right. It's cold. It's like 6 degrees.
Yeah. It was definitely chilly this morning, and it looks like we got a little dusting last night. So
that we did. I was
surprised to walk out and. It was. Yeah. We got actually quite a bit more than what I was really anticipating. Being that it was none.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything either. I'm glad I didn't get a phone call to go into work. I've spent the last week and a half there, and I don't want to go back for a day or two. So I'd rather spend it here with you, awesome guys. So Dylan is a lieutenant with Leadwood Fire Protection District. He's a firefighter EMT with Saline, correct? Is it
That's
Saline?
Correct. Saline.
Saline Valley, up there off 141, if you know where that's at, and. This guy, I've known him for quite a while. We went to high school together years ago. We fought fire in the fire service together. Blasted Dylan in the face with a fire nozzle one time. Fell down. It was cold out when that happened. So it was something. But he's a great guy. He's a dad to a 7-year-old daughter, a loving husband to his wife, Taylor. Taylor has been fantastic working with us on the free mental health seminar. If you look up there on the screen, you can see that here in just a little bit. Been absolutely great to work with. Dylan's story is one of not too many, because he's got a very detailed past and has done a whole lot in the few years that he's been here on Earth. So Dylan, thank you so much for joining us, and I know it took me a little bit to talking to get you to come do this with us.
Yeah, I'm not normally one to put myself out there just as for many reasons, but after talking with you and my wife nagging me into it pretty much, I figured that she's I'm gonna say this publicly, she's right most of the time. So that's
a good man right there.
But I gotta say it.
And I do have to say, too, that because my son would be disappointed, you definitely have the nice fireman mustache going on.
Oh.
Do you have people walk across the restaurant or anywhere and say, "Oh, I love your mustache"?
I actually do.
I mean, it's embarrassing. I will be out with Brett, and grown men will literally come up and, I can tell they actually would like to touch it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I was, in fact, as you were coming in, I told Tyler that somebody was following me into work the other day and was like, "Your son's mustache." Barf, come on. That just gives you all a bigger head. But it's very, very good fireman mustache.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
It's the best I could do with getting rid of the beard and going full time. And
yeah.
At first I was a little reluctant about it because I thought it looked goofy, but I've kind of embraced it now. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, I'm trying to grow a little bit here, but it ain't working out for me. So we are so glad to have you here. I was very excited when I finally seen you wanted to do an episode with us. I know you have a very detailed past. We'll go with that. I'm just glad to have you here for sure. And you are our 10th guest here on Voices of Valor. So after this episode, I'm going to mash up all of our Valor questions that we'll have here in a little bit. And we're going to have some fun. If you guys notice, we are not in our normal studio. We are sitting here at Frontline Armory in Farmington. Our good friends Nathan and Craig were nice enough to allow us to come over here and start recording here. They provided us with a gigantic TV. Absolutely massive, and we're able to put a slideshow up for you guys, be on camera, and my poor wife can finally have the house back to herself for a little while. So I'm so glad. These guys are fantastic to work with. They're a sponsor, one of our Voices of Valor Legacy sponsors, along with Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen. You can also see that up there in our screen. And we're so glad to have all these guys on board and supporting our mission of checking in on first responders, veterans, and mental health and everything we stand for here on Midwest Mayhem. So without further ado, I think we're going to jump into it and get to talking. How's that sound?
Well, sounds all right.
All right. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you even found your way into the fire service.
Well, I grew up, near Frank Clay and Wortham, up by the Wortham Cemetery, out, a couple miles from Leadwood. Went to West County School, and growing up, my grandmother, she was a Washington County deputy for, I think she ended up with 32 years by the time she retired.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah, her brothers were St. Louis City police officers, and they both retired from there. And I got tons of family that are in law enforcement and military as well. I always kind of was around that and saw that type of person that was willing to go and do things that most people aren't. And my uncle is he's a fireman for Potosi. He's been battalion chief. He's been through the ranks, and he's been there a long time. Well, when I was a kid, we used to me and my cousin were like brothers growing up. We were always staying together, and I was out there with him all the time. And we'd be out in the truck somewhere, and he'd catch a call, and we'd run the call, and I'd stay in the truck and watch through the window, and I'd see what all they were doing. I thought that was pretty cool. So they had a junior program at the time, but my dad had his reasons, and I totally understand why he didn't want me to do that at a young age, especially now.
Right.
So he didn't want me to bite off into that before I could make that decision for myself when I was old enough. So I was in high school, and some of the guys that I went to school with, they were all on the fire department, and they walk around with their pagers and stuff. And I thought, man, I don't know if that's something I still want to do or not. And then finally, I just asked one of them to bring me an application. So I turned it in and waited a month and a half went by, and I kind of figured, well.
Now, was this still for the junior program, or was this where you could be?
So
you were of age to be a fireman. Okay.
Yeah, I was one of the older people in my class because of the way that my birthday fell in October versus earlier in the year. So I was, turned 18 right at the start of my senior year. So I think it was in October that I turned my application in. I turned 18, turned it in, and then, a month goes by, and I had their meeting. Well, I didn't know how it works, so I just waited around for a phone call or hear something from somebody at school. I hadn't heard anything, and I think I asked Brandon Hall about, if he heard anything or anything like that, and he said that they had their meeting coming up and that I should know that day. So then I got a phone call from Bob, from Robert Kraft, and he told me, hey, we decided to give you a shot and come up to the firehouse and we'll get you situated. So kind of hit the ground running. You get there and they take you upstairs, find something that'll fit, find a set of gear.
And that's literally how it is.
Yeah. Dig through the pile, find what fits you, and learn how to put it on, and learn, what a pager is and how that works. And I remember the first call I ever went on, and ended up being a fire that this fella had a single wide trailer that caught on fire from the furnace. And I wasn't technically allowed to do anything yet because I was still fresh and new, and I didn't know what I was doing, and totally just trying to be as much help as I could be from the outside, grabbing tools or whatever I needed to do, because back then that was the thing that you had to earn your place, and that's the way it should be.
Yes,
you had to know the truck, know the tools, know what they're for, know what they're called, and be able to go and be the gopher for a bit. Well, I was trying to be a good gopher, and I ended up, Robert Kraft come out, and he says, hey, let's put that pack on. The fire was pretty much under control at this point. There was a little fire left on the back side underneath the underpinning. We had a couple lines off going around the back, and they were mopping that up. we went in, and there was one room that door was closed, and I was able to go in there and put an air pack on for the first time in a real world situation, and go in and help him do a lot of good for this family, because we were able to get a lot of personal items and things that they probably would never be able to replace out of that house, and bring them out and keep them safe. And that was an amazing feeling to be able to make a difference. We mostly, I mean, it would have been repairable completely. I think it was just a great showing of us getting there quick and being able to put a knock on the fire. Now, there was some things that that were lost due to the fire damage and things like that, but a lot of things of a personal nature that we were able to save, that the gratitude from the individual, that it's a feeling that I can't really describe, that you know what I'm talking
Dylan,
about.
I'm sitting here going through my mind thinking, I'm going to ask him, how would he describe that? But I mean, we all three know that feeling. There are no words to describe. I mean, here it was a tragedy for that family, but yet that little bit of hope that you did as a human being, and there are no words to describe it.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
It's a feeling that made me understand that I was doing something bigger than myself. So.
And I love that you were an 18-year-old kid.
And could realize that.
And yes.
Because that's not something you see, especially in today's modern world.
That's beautiful, honestly. I know that kind of sounds a little fruity, but it is
kind of a beautiful thing. And,
it is.
It validated my feelings of wanting to do more with my life. When you're young and you're going through school and everybody's trying to ask you what you want to do with your life, you don't really know. I mean, and I don't think that you should be expected to know. I mean, it took me a long time to figure out what path I was taking in life, because a lot of things that I thought that I had figured out for myself and made a plan.
Right.
It never seems to go that way. It's like the saying goes that if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And that's kind of how my life went for a while. And in the fire service at that time, it was very difficult to reach that point where you could make it a career. It was very competitive. It was very hard to achieve that. And I was told many times that it probably wasn't going to work out. It probably wasn't going to be something that I could make a reality.
Now, did you hear that from somebody in the fire service, or was that somebody on the outside?
Oh, that was definitely in the fire service. On the outside, people don't know those things. They don't understand.
Well, and I feel like Brett's like he's probably hating me, right? Or thinking a lot about his mom right now. That's how Brett always was. Because you remind me a lot of Brett, that, you're very soft-spoken. Because I can remember the first time I met you, and if I'm not mistaken, it was an EMR class at the ambulance district. And I always just thought, he is such the sweetest, kindest young man. And almost like an innocence that is lost now. But I can remember Brett's ultimate dream was to be a full-time fireman, to be paid. And it's not that, I mean, in a way, and I hate to admit this, but it was the truth. As his parent, I was thinking, son, there's more to life than that. But that passion is there. And I'm glad that there are still kids that feel that way. And I learned that a long time ago. Don't make a plan. Don't make a plan.
Yeah.
It's amazing how just volunteering in this line of work, you can make it your personality. You become it, is what I always like to say.
Yes.
Yes, you do. You become something that it doesn't have to define you, and that's another thing that I've learned. Like, you can be a fireman, but also still be you, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of time to refigure that out when you get lost in it.
And I don't think I ever put that amount of time in to find my true self up until it was time for me to walk out the door and say goodbye to it. And then after that, it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't know that I think I don't know what the word I'm looking for. We first want to think, like you said, they were walking around with their pagers. They have their radios. But if you seriously get deep down into it, there's a whole lot more to it than that.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's where you discover yourself, because that is something that, to have that passion for another person on the best day or the worst day of their life is, it's the best feeling in the world. You're a very humble young man, and that's hard to find as well. And that's beautiful too.
Oh, for sure. Dylan's one of those guys that you can always count on him, and you always know he'll never do you wrong. And
Right.
I've always thought that of you, man. I truly have. Even when I didn't see you for a year or two. Hell, before this, I don't think I talked to you for a couple of years. So, from me, myself, I truly, when I got into the fire service, you were one of the guys I always looked up to, because I knew you would never take me somewhere where I didn't feel safe. You wouldn't put me in a situation you wouldn't put yourself in.
Well, and this type of personality to have, and all three of us have this.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very double-edged sword doing this job, because it's hard to, because I would almost bet you've been on a scene more than once, probably more than 5 times, that your emotions got you. And you've either had to leave the scene, and it's so hard because, you're sometimes made to feel guilty because you're having that type of emotion. And so it's difficult to do. It's hard to be this caring person and a responsible person, because you get the criticism of it. So, if that makes sense.
I appreciate that, first of all, and then there's times where you're still a human being, and there's a lot that comes to play. I have always had some type of ability to be able to deal with the situation, and then it's after the fact that I can let all that out and be done with that, because on the scene, there are times where I know it's going to be something that's going to come up later, that's going to be a situation for me to decompress from.
So did you know that from day one, or have you had to break, which we're probably going to get into this, but break down and be like, have you had moments now that a situation, I would have handled this differently 2 years ago? Have you always just naturally been this way?
I believe that I've always naturally had the way of being able to deal with the situation. Now, there's many, many, many times. I mean, every time I go on a call or do anything, I always think about what I could have done differently, or what would have been better for the situation. However, my personal emotions in the time that I need to be focused, for some reason, I can handle the focus and do what I need to do, but I'll know that it's going to be something that, okay, I'll be thinking about this for a while, and it's over, but it'll be okay, and I can get through it. The one thing that is about that is that you don't know until you know. You don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to react, and nobody does.
Well, and that's a key thing right there is one of the things that I always try to stress to the younger kids that I work with. We'll have, for example, there was a really bad motorcycle accident. They didn't put a pelvic binder on. That pelvic binder was not going to save that woman.
No.
And so if you take those moments, you sit in those, coulda, shoulda, woulda, it's very healthy to do. But if you always take those as a lesson, you'll know the next motorcycle accident or the next structure fire, what will be done differently.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way that you build the experience that you have and learn from each individual experience, because everything that we do is not the same.
No, and you cannot have the mentality of, well, that's how we did it last time, or that's how we did it 5 years ago. You can't have that mentality.
That's how you get somebody killed.
Yes.
Looking at it that way.
Yes.
To me, there's no such thing as a routine call, because
not at all.
even if you run the same call type to the same address, the same patient, the same anything, every single time is different. It may be something small and insignificant, but it's different every time, and you can learn something every time.
Right.
And that's something that I try to impress on people, that I've been able to help come up to the fire service the way that people were able to help me, and explain to them that every time that you deal with a situation, that you should be thinking about what you can learn from that situation, what you can do to be better the next time you make a run for this call type or this individual that you're dealing with, because there's always factors that you can be thinking about that you may not have caught the first 3 or 4 times. And now, okay, I see something different now that has helped me to progress in my career as a fireman, whether it be volunteer career or whatever. There's always room for improvement and room to learn.
Now, with that said, I want to shift gears for just a second, because you worked as a corrections officer at was it ERDCC or
Yeah,
so
ERDCC.
the Bonne prison. So you worked over there as a corrections officer. Now that place in itself is, I mean, that's known as one of the worst prisons in the state. I don't know if it was back then when you worked there or not, but how did that kind of reflect on you and the fire service? How did you take those things together?
So at the time, it was something that I knew that I could handle doing that job, just because of the confidence that I built in myself and my ability to handle situations whenever I started working there. But I learned a ton working there about people, human nature, and the things that you can see from the outside looking in, that if you were able to take that time to pull yourself out of the equation for a moment and be able to look at the big picture, and you can study how people react to each other. People are people, and it doesn't matter if you're an incarcerated person or if you're an officer working in a place like that. You're all people. And that's something that a lot of folks have a hard time remembering. And it's not something that is a normal position for a human being to be put in, the same as the fire service or EMS or law enforcement. Those are not normal positions for people to have to deal with or react with. And we're not really wired to do those types of jobs, but they're necessary. And there has to be people that fill those spots and that will do the job. So learning about how to react and interact with people has been a big thing from that. That's probably the most that I could pull from that time that I spent there. I worked in the administrative segregation unit, and that was on the reception and diagnostic side of the camp. So everyone coming into prison or coming back, that's where they would go. And we would have, the people that, were problem causers, or they needed protective measures made for them, or there's so many different reasons why people would end up in that unit. And there's, every type of person comes through there. And sometimes it's just people that made a simple mistake that they shouldn't be treated any different because of this mistake that they made than anyone else in that place. And trying to build rapport with guys inside of that place, for me, it seemed to be pretty easy, because as long as you stay, it's funny because they tell you this in the academy, but it goes right out the window for most people after their first month or two working, is to be firm, fair, and consistent. Well, it's hard. It's not human nature to be firm, fair, and consistent with every individual, no matter what they're calling you or what their response to you is. If you treat the guy that's nice and talking to you like your best buds the same as you treat the guy that's out there cussing you out, it's not something that's simple for most people. For me, it wasn't personal. It wasn't something that I got to go home at the end of the day. And that was my main goal every day, is that everyone I was with and everyone around me, we were going home. And there's no reason for us to hold grudges or go out of our way for something that, this is a job for us. This is something that we're doing because, for whatever reason. Everyone has their reasons. I was doing it because I needed a paycheck. I mean, and I cared about doing a good job and being a good corrections officer. I wanted to do the job the best that I could because that's just the way I was raised. I mean, if you're going to do something, do it, and don't half-ass it. Don't make it, subpar, because that, there's no point in even in trying if you're not going to actually complete a task or do something that you're being paid to do. I mean, I tried to help a lot of guys that came in after me with that, and I think that I did make an impact because we formed a pretty close unit, and our guys, at least at Seven House, we were pretty squared away, and we had a lot of respect from the inmates because it didn't matter. Every day was a new day. So you come in, maybe you had a problem with the guy yesterday. Maybe he was cussing you up and down and causing problems and everything else. We come in the next day and pretend like it never happened because it's a brand new day. And it's not my place to carry that stuff home with me. So I felt like I did a pretty good job with that, with not taking that
often
home.
in those situations, you do develop that rapport.
Yeah.
And they usually the next day come back and apologize. And it's always, hey, man, I understand. We all have bad days. And I know we haven't finished this, but this segment here, I have so many people that need to listen to this, listen to it again, and listen to it again. Because everything you just said is so on point and what needs to happen in our world to change what's going on. Mm-hmm. Just treat somebody like a human being. And I'm the same way, Dylan. I don't care if I walk into a home that is a mansion or if it's a shithole with nothing. You are going to be treated, first and foremost, you're a child of God, but then you are somebody's something. And at any point, that could be me.
Yeah. And
that is, you have no idea with what you just said. Amazing.
Dead on the head, for sure.
More people need to be like Dylan.
Agreed. I could not agree with that one anymore. So I do want to get into kind of what developed you into who you are today. So after a series of life-altering events, and at the beginning of this, I said you had a detailed past. You found yourself searching for purpose for quite some time. You and I have talked on this a little bit. What was that season in your life like for you mentally?
So it was hard to navigate because I was still trying to learn who I was and being, young and not understanding how the world worked, even though we all like to believe we do at a young age at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, thinking that you have it figured out, that you know what's going on, but you really don't. And figuring that out the hard way is, unfortunately, it's the way most of us learn. We learn through our experiences and what we do wrong more so than what we do right. And that's because we take the wins for granted, and then we have to let reality hit us in the face to be able to wake up and go, this isn't my show. This isn't something that I can control. There are many things that we can control, and when you lose control of yourself and allow yourself to get to that point, like I did, that's when things really hit you. And I searched for that sense of purpose for a long time. I joined the fire service. I was still in high school. I was going through Unitech as a machinist and getting a certificate to be a manual and CNC machinist, and I knew that was a good job, and I enjoyed doing that work. It was fun. So I started thinking about what I was going to do, because not believing that I could make the fire service a career, I started thinking, well, I can still do this, but I can find a job that's going to pay decent that I could try to make a career out of. So I ended up really thinking hard, because I put something on the back burner that I wanted to do. Pretty much my entire high school career, I thought about the military and how I admired the military in all aspects, and how I definitely wanted something that was like that. There was a lot of things that I wanted to do that I felt were honorable things to do that would give you that sense of purpose. So I ended up putting that on the back burner and taking my scholarship and going to Jefferson College for their computer integrated manufacturing program. And I get to college and I think, okay, this is going to be, we'll get through this and get your degree, and then you can decide, if you want to pursue other things.
Yeah.
I started college. I got through the first year and honestly felt like I hadn't learned anything. It was basically high school over again. That felt like a waste of time. And I regret it today just because knowing how short time is and how quickly it goes by, I should have just finished the first, the degree, and at least had finished something that I started. Because I do regret starting something and not finishing it. After the first year, I left and I joined the Navy, and I was excited. I was ready to do something that I thought was going to be impactful in my life and make a difference. And I had one job that I truly wanted because I felt like it was extremely important, and it was a job that would give me that and more, and it was to be a corpsman. I wanted to be a corpsman in the Navy because the Marine Corps did not offer their own specifics and jobs. So the Marine Corps will give you a field, and then you will get a job assigned to you in the field that you chose, as long as everything works out. But generally, it's like needs of the Marine Corps, so you don't really get that specific job that you want. So I even though I wanted to do that, I was like, well, this is the closest and best thing I can do is to be a corpsman. And if you go what they call green side versus blue side, you can after you get through A school, you can go to a Marine unit. You get attached to a Marine unit and be a corpsman for them. So I thought, well, that's the route I should take. And it also opened up special operations selection schools for both the Marine Corps and the Navy. So I thought I got it figured out. This is what I'm going to do. This is the route that I'm taking. I enlisted. They didn't want to give me the job that I wanted. And I told them I'm not going to enlist unless I get this job. Well, they didn't want to lose out on an enlistment, so a week went by and I got a phone call saying, hey, you're going to have to leave next week, but
we got it.
Yeah. So I said, all right, deal. So we had a little going away party at the firehouse, and it was pretty great. The guys, they had fun. They may or may not have strapped me to a backboard and put me upside down by the dump valve.
Never let it. Why do I feel like Robert Kraft had something to do with that?
It was more than him. It was everybody. But it was something that made me feel like, the family bond that we had, and it felt like I truly had made my impact there as being one of the guys. And I left out. I went to basic training at Great Lakes, and I ended up going through some stuff there that it wasn't hard by any means, but I didn't understand the climate at the time with the government and things that were happening, that there was a lot of people that were coming in that were getting separated for things you normally wouldn't get separated for. Well, I was having chest pains, which I had as a kid. I think I was probably 13 the last time I'd had an issue where they put a monitor on me and had me wear it for a week and all those things. Nothing ever come of it. It always ended up being, nothing. And so I ended up going to the hospital on base and getting checked out for that. And next thing I know, I'm in a room with a captain who is signing paperwork to send me to SEPS barracks to separate me from the Navy. And they explain the situation, and all the thoughts are going through my head of like, what does this mean? Like, why am I being separated for something that is not an issue? Well, the way that the military works and the way things are, especially when they're cutting budgets back so bad, is you're a number. So you just get put through the line like a head of cattle, and they kick out the ones that they don't have time to mess with. So I ended up getting kicked to the side and going and sitting in SEP's barracks for like a month, waiting to find out what was going to happen, and then ended up getting separated. And I was told when I got separated, and I had my basically debriefing about that I could come back in 6 months to a year and try to start the process back over and go back through, and everything would be fine. Well, that was kind of a big blow to my mentality at the point of thought I had things figured out, and I didn't. Things that, little hiccups in the plan that you just don't foresee happening. So that really put me at a low for a long time, because I felt like a failure. I felt like I did not represent my family or myself in a way that was in a good light in any way. I felt like everyone would see me as a failure. I struggled with that for a long time, and really it was all self-imposed. No one ever made me feel that way, but it took a lot of years for me to reflect on and look at that and say, well, that was all me. But it's that deep-seated feeling that every person has things in their life that they struggle with, that they don't talk about or tell people about, and that was one that I dealt with for a very long time. And I did end up trying to go back, and I went back to MEPS to reprocess and re-enlist, and I ended up sitting there for hours and hours, because this time I was going to go in the Army for the same thing. But I guess the liaison's office never took the packet. They ended up getting dropped in the Navy's office, and they didn't walk around the corner to the Army's office and say, hey, I have your guys' paperwork. So I sat there for 6.5 hours or so, twiddling my thumbs, waiting for someone to call me back to go through the process again. Well, that never happened. Recruiter shows back up. It's the end of the day, and he's wondering what happened, and I said, me too. Nobody ever came and got me, nothing. And end up finding out what happened later. But at this point, it was probably a year and a half later, and I really didn't know like what the situation was or how long it was going to take to get everything sorted out. Well, at this time, I guess I was probably 21 at the point. I was engaged at the time. I had a girlfriend when I left for the Navy that she was there when I got back, and we, I may be honest, we weren't supposed to end up being together. It was just we were together before the Navy, and as far as I was concerned, like, we were splitting our separate ways because I was going to be gone for 5 years. I mean, it was an extra year of active duty contract to be a corpsman because the schooling takes so long.
Yeah.
So 5 years, I figured I was going to be gone, either on the East Coast or the West Coast somewhere. And
Just
I
on your own.
Yeah, just doing my thing. Well, when everything come crashing down, she's back, she's there. I started working for the state when I come home. I worked for Charlie for a little bit, doing floors and stuff, because I left my job at the machine shop I was working at through high school and college to pursue the military. So I started working for Charlie, and I ended up going to the state shortly after that, and engaged to this girl after some time. And this was all during the time that I was trying to figure things out and trying to get back into the military, and ended up that it was just a bad situation for both of us. And some things happened that were not good, and I told her that she needed to go, and that was a good decision on my part and on her part. It was the best for both of us that we no longer be together. And so I ended up drinking a lot after that. Not at first, but I would start drinking on the weekends, drinking on my days off more, hanging out with a friend of mine that I consider family. He's not really a friend. He's more of a brother to me, just because of the things that we've been through together through life. And he ended up being there for me in some of my worst moments and helping me through those. But he didn't really drink, so he always was. I was trying to be responsible. He was always the designated driver.
Yeah.
So we would always be together, and he would drive, and we'd go out and play, shoot some pool, and I would drink, 6, 8, 10 beers, and we'd go home. Well, that 6, 8, 10 beers would lead to 20, 25 beers, 30 beers, and I would just not have a shut-off point where I would say, hey, that's enough. And I just didn't take control of myself because I felt like I was, I'm fine, I'm doing the right thing because I got a driver. I got somebody that's, as a responsible driver. But it didn't occur to me that doesn't account for my lack of self-control, and the things that I was doing were wrong. I should not have been doing that and trying to drown all these feelings that I had inside with alcohol. It took a long time from that point to get to where I am today, but I ended up doing something that I will struggle with the rest of my life, just because even though it may be taken care of in a legal standpoint, my personal feelings about those actions will stay with me forever. I ended up getting a DWI one night because we got into an argument in the driveway of my house, and I jumped back in my truck. Keys were in it, it was running, and pulled out of the driveway, went 3 miles down the road, fell asleep at the wheel, hit a tree, and woke up in the airbag and didn't understand what happened because I was so far gone to the wind that I didn't know what I was doing. And I tried to, at that point, quit the fire service. I felt like I didn't deserve to be a part of that anymore. I felt like I did not uphold what is expected of us as public safety personnel, and I did something I thought I would never do because I had been on those scenes where you had a drunk driver and somebody loses their life, and you think, what was this person do? Like, why would you get behind the wheel and drive after you are sloshed and you're out there on the road and taking someone else's family member, taking someone else's life? And so I really had a hard time. I struggled real hard with looking myself in the mirror every day because I didn't feel like I was a good person at all. And I still don't feel like it's something that I can just move past and act like didn't happen, because it did. And I can't change that. I can't take it back. It already happened.
Well, and I think you acknowledge it, and you do have that feeling. But once again, I think that falls back into the plan that was for you. You weren't supposed to have that much of heartache or guilt. You're living your guilt. You've changed your life. You've learned your lesson.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know for sure the words I want to put together to explain what I'm trying to say, but it could have been a lot worse. And it wasn't. And for whatever reason, you were saved to not have it that bad.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly how I look at things today. Is that I wouldn't take it back now, because the things that I was able to take from that, not only for myself but for others that may see that if it can happen to you, it can happen to anyone, because it can. If you think something can't or won't happen to you.
Yeah, just because we're first responders and we have good hearts doesn't mean the minute that we're not the target for that as well.
Yeah.
And it is, and that's one thing I could be that person. I could wake up tomorrow completely addicted to, because I'm like you, I had my own struggles, but I think a lot of that goes back to we lived being good kids, and so when we don't have the control, And that's, you are literally out of control, because it is a way to numb things, and you're not that good kid. You're not that, what everybody expected, that up on the pedestal being held. And so you do venture out and do things you're not supposed to. I mean, we could probably all sit here and have a laundry list of, I mean, I can think of one night I don't know how many angels had to be with me, because I should have never done it, did it, and I'm sitting here with you.
Same here.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to us all being people.
Yes.
And everyone is susceptible to the same things, the same mistakes.
And you get caught up in that, when's something right going to happen for me? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Here, you were trying to serve your country. You were trying to be a good son. You were trying to be a good boyfriend, a good fiance, a good friend, a good fireman. And it's like, can I not catch a break? Just once, I want a break. And it's hard to, then you just start digging a hole, and you just get so deep into stuff that it's hard to get back out of.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard climb back out of that hole. And going through all that and having to, I turned in resignation at the state. I tried to resign from the fire service, and I had a couple individuals that, without their talking to me and explaining to me that I don't need to do that I made a mistake, I still did not feel that it was right, and I did not feel that I should still be looked at as somebody that, the way that I looked at first responders as a kid, you look at them and you think, well, they're really good people, they do all the right things, that they're this person wearing this uniform that is
that you don't deserve.
Yeah, that I don't deserve that. And then over time and a lot of experiences and things that I dealt with within the fire service and public safety and all the things and experiences in life that brought me to the place where I could look at people and say everyone's a person. That's how I dealt with understanding that they're not wrong, that I made a mistake, and that we all could have ended up in the same situation. It still doesn't negate my feelings about what I had done. It definitely is still hard today, but it's gotten easier to deal with, because I feel like a little more each time that I talk about it, that it relieves the weight of that over my head. And I was upfront about the situation with my employers. Moving forward from that point, I was forward about it whenever I joined Cedar Hill and I'm Antonia, and when I went through the interview process for Celine, and they appreciated the honesty and the fact that I was open about the situation. Because,
and majority of the time, people do.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
that's where a lot of people mess up, is everybody wants to try to hide it, and that's where the problem is created. If you're just open about it, majority of the time, people will work with you. Majority of the time. I mean, that's not all the time, but people forget that hiding things create more problems than what it's worth most of the time, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I mean, we're working on a decade since this has happened, and I'm still just now getting to a point to where I feel okay. As far as with who I am, I feel more like the old me that I remember from when I started in the fire service, and the passion that I had and the things that I cared about than I had in all those years in between, dealing with all of this spiraling out of control of not knowing what direction I was heading in life.
Yeah.
Well, and that one little thing isn't defining you. It doesn't, it just doesn't. But we take that so personal that's all they're going to think about. They're going to know me as that guy, the fireman that had the DWI, that was, the deal with the military. That's what you think. When really, people they don't look at that.
Yeah.
A good person doesn't. They're not going to judge that.
I do want to talk a little bit about the transition from volunteer to full-time.
Yeah.
Because you said you were open with your employers. So your transition from volunteer service into career fire service, it wasn't easy, obviously. You had to bring all this up. I'm sure it was a fight. How did the stress of that transition impact your mental health? Because I know that had to weigh in some capacity.
Oh yeah, I struggled, especially after going through all that I struggled very hard with feeling that I was worthy of being able to get into a position somewhere full time, and I didn't think that I had that I was enough, that I was going to be enough to be in that group of people that make it full time. I honestly had given up on trying to pursue that dream until my wife had given me the push. Her driving me forward and pushing me to pursue something that she knew I was passionate about. Without her, I would not be a full-time fireman. I would not have had the self-confidence on my own to be where I am. I went through the academy.
Where did you go to the academy?
Mineral area, back when they had
Okay.
academy. So I went to the academy, I guess like 11 years ago, something like that. It was right after I got separated, and it was right whenever I was working for Charlie and trying to go to work for the state and all that. I went through the academy and just kind of sat on it after I got my certificates and all that. Took state testing, and I passed everything, and I just didn't do anything with it. I had it. I had done my schooling. I just had some other milestones I needed to reach. I needed to go to EMT school and get that, and that was the bare minimum. Fire 1 and 2, hazmat ops and awareness, and EMT.
And so where did you go to get your EMT?
I ended up. My wife saw that St. Francis County put out for their very first EMT class that they were doing, and so she gave me the confidence and the drive to.
She filled out your application and said, "Good night, Dylan. You're going to night class tonight at EMT school."
Not quite, but
I could see her doing that, though.
I could definitely see her doing that. She showed it to me and talked me into pursuing that. And I talked to my employer at the time and said, "Hey, this is something I'm going to do." And I was at a point where I was going to do it, and if they were going to allow me to do that with my schedule, being that at this time I was now a supervisor, machine shop, second shift, and it was very difficult to navigate, and I didn't know what the reaction was going to be, but they ended up working with me and allowing me to switch my schedule around to be able to take this class, and that was a very good thing, because I really don't know what I would have done if they would have said no. I was still going to class, so
looking for a different job.
yeah, that's how it would have been,
Yeah.
and I didn't want that to be the situation, but I was ready to just go for it and see what happened. So I went through their very first class. It was great. It was a great class. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of good people in the class with me that I was glad to be a part of that team and be able to take all that and run with it. I was able to take that and get my EMT license, which was also a hurdle because of the previous DWI. The Missouri Bureau of EMS had to have a hearing with me, and they investigated the situation and discussed it with me. And they could have done one of three things. They could have given me my license outright. They could have given me my license with probationary stipulations, or they could have said no. Well, they ended up just giving me my license outright. And so that was a huge blessing, because then I was set. I was good to go.
Yeah.
And it took significantly longer than I thought. It took another 6 or 8 months for that to come through. Finally got it, and ended up starting putting applications in. I put them in multiple places. I went through processing for St. Louis City Fire, and I ended up calling and respectfully declining to work for them. just because the schedule wasn't great. When I was younger, that would have been great. It would have been a great experience. It would have been a good time. But where I'm at, in my life today, there's no way that I could have made that work out because the schedule was not great. And the travel back and forth every other day. So I declined that, and then I sat and waited, and I thought I would be lucky to get a call from one place, for a part-time gig or something. And then I started getting phone calls, and I got phone calls from every agency I put in for offering me a job. I ended up taking the full-time position at Cedar Hill right away because they offered me part-time when they called me, and then they asked me to come in for an interview. Just so happened that they had a guy that put his notice in that he was leaving to go to Saline, and they hadn't posted the position out yet because they just found out, and they asked if I would interview for it. So I said yeah. So I came in, interviewed for it, and I was really concerned about the pay because I knew some of these places, it was going to be a pay cut regardless of where I went. It was going to be a pay cut. But I was nervous I had a number in my head that it had to meet this number or I could not take the job. They laid the job sheet down in front of me that had the breakdown of everything on it, and the number that was on that sheet matched the number that I had to have.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, no joke.
So I ended up telling them that I would contact them the next day after I spoke with my wife. And so I started heading home, and I called her on the way home and told her the situation, and she was obviously very excited and asked me what I was going to do, and I said, well, what do you think? And she was obviously all for me taking the position, so I took it. And as soon as I took it, I started getting more phone calls from everywhere else, and I ended up going to Antonia and doing the interview and just staying as a part-time guy because I figured that would give me an opportunity to learn kind of both ends of the county and interact with other people and kind of build my knowledge of how different agencies in another county do things. So I started work at Cedar Hill and kind of hit the ground running and built some very good relationships there that I definitely cherish some of the people that I was able to make relationships with there. It's a weird feeling going to career from volunteer, and also you have that feeling of a stigma on you for being a volley.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too bad. It was a shock at first, and I thought, can I handle this? Am I doing the right thing? Is this really what I want? And I had to really hone in on trying to be the best that I could be in that position. It was very stressful at first. It was a lot on my mind to come into some place and not know anything or anyone and try to make myself a good fireman and create a good reputation for myself.
Kind of create what you had back home.
Yeah, and rebuild and start from zero and work back up.
Well, and I don't understand because I've never went from volunteer to paid in this situation, but it is. It's a huge difference in being, not paid. And it goes both ways because the volunteers make fun of the paid make fun of the volunteers. But it is different because it's not going to be the same at all. And I definitely think you're probably your own worst enemy, Dylan, 100%. And I love to see that you have that. As you're sitting here talking with us, I can see that you're thinking, am I saying the right things? But then if you could see yourself through other people's eyes, your wife, she's been great for you, but I wish you could see what I could see of you. And I really don't know you that well, but you are a beautiful human being. You are an amazing young man.
Well, thank you.
And of course, extra horn, but to see a person like you do this job, brings a lot of hope to me as an older person doing this job, who myself went from making, by now, I mean, I'd almost be retired had I stayed in education. But my passion was taking care of others. And you have that. And that's a gift. And I admire you. And I just wish you could see yourself through other people's eyes. Because you got it, kid. You got it. You've won at life. You got it.
I appreciate that.
You were definitely kicking ass, my friend. Looking back, Lochie, you know how we do this. This is no big deal.
Well, that's where, and I guess I'm just getting to that point in my life where people need to know that you are a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've felt the way you have. I've had to stand and think, I can't even look at myself in the mirror. I don't like who I see. I don't even recognize who I see. And you need to, I think people need to be told, no, you're winning in life right now. And I love that for you. I love to see other people share their stories and win in life. And honestly, doing this, I always joke about certain situations. I could die tonight, and I feel like a good part of my purpose has been met. I have met amazing people by doing this silly little podcast.
Yeah.
And I love that you're here to share your story.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
And I'm sorry about my extra hormones this time, but I don't know.
Oh, I get them too.
And I love seeing you guys just, and I know, and I'm going to go real quick on our
go ahead.
people that are ridiculing what we're doing.
Go for it.
If you could see that all of you young men that we've talked to, that's who people need to be, not these assholes that think they're hot stuff that can't share who they are.
Or cry. That's my favorite one. Cry.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I cry all the time.
I cry
ask
at
my
stop
wife.
signs, so.
Yeah.
I do too. I was coming over here listening to music and was like, don't cry. And I always try not to cry when we do this. But I don't know that I've ever had an episode that I didn't cry.
I would be worried if you didn't cry at this point. It just gives you crying gives the episode its real feel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, I think people need to know that it is okay. We all struggle, but you're a good person. And we make mistakes. And my kids get embarrassed because sometimes I'll be out with them and I'll tell somebody, oh, your hair looks pretty today. And they're like, shut up, Mom. That's embarrassing. I don't know that may not have saved that person's life for the day.
Yeah, literally.
You
Might
know?
have been the only good thing they heard.
Right.
Who knows how long.
Because being a jerk all the time just doesn't get you anywhere. So, sorry to stray off.
You ain't bothering me. I got all day. So, Dylan, looking back, I kind of want to close out your volley to full-time career because, I mean, you hit that dead on the head, man. Everything you've talked about so far has just been so clear, and it paints a very clear picture of who you are and what you stand for and what your purpose is. So looking back, do you think the period that tested you mentally, how do I ask this? Do you feel like this period of time was a test from God himself to make you who you are sitting here right now?
I 100% know that. I believe that with every part of my being. Without having gone through these things to put me in a place that I am in my mind and know in my heart that the things that have been laid out for me have been the path that I was supposed to take. And I was supposed to take it to learn all the things that I was able to learn along the way.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the hard road is supposed to be traveled to be able to gain the knowledge that it takes to help someone else, or to be able to have those experiences that you can call on whenever you have something else going on in your life, or another experience that you have. You're able to navigate anything after going through some of the roughest terrain. And I know that everything that's laid out, that's happened, has all been from God, because I used to pray for things that I thought I wanted, but I think that it's more beneficial for you and for your journey with God as well, to pray more for others and pray for what God can do to use you in the best way and what your purpose is. Because if you try to find your own purpose, you usually end up striking out. But if you allow Him to guide you to where you're supposed to be and let go.
Well, and I know we don't like to go super, because, I believe in God, but there are people that have a higher being that they do believe in. But I firmly believe that there are an army of people that are put on this earth from the second we were put on this earth to serve His purpose. And it may be the serial killer that sits incarcerated, because I've learned from people that I probably would have never thought I would have learned from. And I think I always say that, because I have in my mind, I don't think we get to see God the second we die. I think it's kind of like an interview process. You probably run into a few people that you sit down at a big table, and then when they're ready for you, you get to speak with God, and He opens up your big book. And I truly believe, even though I too am my own worst enemy, I truly believe that God's going to look at my book and be like, sis, we don't need to talk about anything. Because I try to live my life doing right and doing what God would want. And God hears conversations that we don't. So every time I prayed for things that I thought were good for me, God heard a different conversation. And that's where I had to finally learn. I literally had prayed, take this out of my life, because I'm not strong enough to do it. And God knows what is best for us. And He gives us people, whether they're there for a short time or a long time, to get us to where we're at.
And I truly believe that as well. I pray all the time. I pray thanks for the people that have been put into my life, because whether it be for a good experience or a bad one, every person that comes into your life, no matter what circumstance, not only can you learn from each and every individual, but you can also give something to each and every individual. And that's kind of the magic of what we have in this life. We're able to give and take from each other and have an understanding with each other. And not a lot of people seem to do that these days, and it's sad, because everyone seems to have blinders on and they can't see each other for who they are. And
we're so self-centered. If it's not going to benefit me, I don't want to do it. And I think that's what breaks my heart majority of the time, when I'm sitting back in the back of the ambulance with somebody and they thank me for taking care of them or being nice to them. I should never be thanked for being nice to somebody.
That should be an expectation, not something that is an odd thing for people to experience. Right. It should be the norm. But more and more people, they just don't seem to have that.
Yeah.
I've traveled all over the country working, and I've met all kinds of people. I've been all kinds of places, and it's we're all people. Everything in this world, we're all the same. We just don't realize it.
And I love that I can finally say, when somebody says, or I don't understand how somebody reacts. Sometimes I'm very glad I don't understand that, because I don't want to be that person anyway.
Yeah.
And that's where, too, I've grown, I think, in doing this job.
Yeah.
So
there's always room for growth, no matter what way you go or what path you go down. You can grow in any way. Look at a tree; it grows everywhere.
Well, it's just the simple human kindness.
Absolutely.
That's all you got to do.
So with that, speaking of kindness, we're going to take a quick commercial break, take a clear word from our sponsors here. Cannot thank Frontline Armory enough for not only sponsoring our podcast, but allowing us to use their wonderful facility here. And we'll also hear from Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen, and you'll also hear about the free mental health seminar we got coming up here in March, on March 28th. And we will be right back. We'll talk to you guys here in just a minute.
Attention Potosi, there's a new mission in town, Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen. This veteran-owned coffee shop isn't just about caffeine, it's about community. From rich espressos to hearty meals, every order fuels a story, yours, ours, and the heroes we honor every day. Step inside and you'll find more than just a cup of coffee. you'll find a place where veterans, first responders, and locals come together shoulder to shoulder. So whether you're starting your morning patrol, catching up with friends, or needing that midday refuel, Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen has you covered. Located at 205 East High Street in Potosi, Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen, where service never sleeps and every cup counts. Hey guys, Tyler here, Midwest Mayhem Podcast, and I want to take a second today and talk about how every call leaves a mark. Some we talk about, and some we carry quietly. Being a first responder isn't just a job, it's a calling. And for those of us who've served, we know the weight that comes with it. I've been in the first responder service myself. I've seen calls that stick with you, the moments you don't always talk about, and the toll that this job can take long after the sirens stop. That's why Leadwood Fire Protection District is proud to host a free first responder mental health seminar created for those who serve, police, fire, EMS, and dispatch. This seminar is about more than education. It's about reminding every responder that strength isn't silence and no one should carry the weight of this job alone. You should join us on March 28, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at West County Middle School in Leadwood. We'll hear from featured keynote speakers Valerie Beeson and Kevin Kapler, including a live Q&A panel after Kevin speaks, along with on-site resources, vendors, food trucks, and giveaways. This event is completely free and open to all first responders. Lochie and I from Midwest Mayhem will be live on location, and Midwest Mayhem will have a booth set up where you can sign up for Voices of Valor, connect with us, and grab plenty of trinkets and giveaways throughout the day. If you ever felt the pressure, the stress, or the unseen side of this work, this day is for you. For more information, you can visit our website, www.midwestmayhempodcast.com. You can email Leadwood Fire at leadwoodfireprotectiondistrict@gmail.com, or you can visit our Facebook page or Leadwood Fire Protection District's Facebook page for more information, because taking care of others starts with taking care of ourselves. Hey guys, Tyler here, Midwest Mayhem Podcast. If you're looking for a trusted local firearms dealer with real knowledge and real service, check out Frontline Armory, a veteran-owned and operated business located right here in Farmington, Missouri. Frontline Armory offers a wide selection of firearms, suppressors, ammunition, holsters, optics, tactical gear, and quality firearm accessories, all with a strong focus on education, safety, and responsible ownership. Whether you're a first-time buyer, an experienced owner, or someone interested in learning more about suppression and the process involved, their knowledgeable team takes the time to answer questions and walk you through your operation. No pressure, no gimmicks. You can find Frontline Armory at 201 West Karsh Boulevard, Unit B in Farmington, or give them a call at 573-463-6262. You can also learn more by visiting them at thefrontlinearmory.com, or follow Frontline Armory on Facebook to stay up to date on inventory and announcements. And when you stop in, go see my friends Nathan and Craig and tell them Midwest Mayhem sent you. The Frontline Armory, veteran-owned, community-focused, and proud to serve Southeast Missouri. And we are back with the Midwest Mayhem Podcast. We are still sitting here with Dylan Miner from the Leadwood Fire Protection District and Saline Valley Fire Protection District. And we have learned so much about Dylan here on the first half of the podcast. You just heard from all of our awesome sponsors, Frontline Armory, Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen. I cannot thank Frontline Armory enough for everything that they've let us do here today, using their facility to have our guests and all that. And Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen, Adam and Christy over there in Potosi, you cannot thank those guys enough for everything they do. They'll be actually handing out some free coffee at the free First Responder Mental Health Seminar.
Well, and I was going to add, last week with our snowstorm, we had the main street there of Potosi had, I think is that High Street?
Yeah, I think
had
so.
a water main break, fixed it, massive water main break, destroyed Lulu's shop over there. The city employees worked all night long, I believe, in the frigid cold. And I know that several of the businesses, one in particular being Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen, provided free coffee for first responders, the city employees, the plow crews. So definitely thanks to them, but to all businesses. I noticed a lot of people. We had a bunch of people that put tabs on at the coffee places as well for the people that were out braving that cold weather last week.
Absolutely. We've managed to fight a whole snowstorm, which is why we're here scheduled just a week later from when we were supposed to originally do this. But how we feeling, Dylan? We feeling good?
Yeah, feeling all right.
Good. All right, man. So I want to jump into...
We got to do that. Might be Brett, so go get him, brothers.
That's the first time we've got to do that here.
Yes.
That's pretty neat. So speaking of Q Siren, So you now serve as a volunteer lieutenant with the Leadwood Fire Protection District. How does carrying leadership responsibility without it being your full-time job impact you mentally? Because I know it can be a pretty stressful thing because you're volunteer, but you still have a full-time job doing this.
Yeah. It kind of it plays back into my feelings of being good enough because you go through those moments where people are looking to you and you question yourself as to whether or not you're the guy that should be making the call or be the person that they should be coming to. It's a stressful position to take on that you have people that are looking to you the way that you used to look at others that were your leaders and trying to emulate the good qualities of leadership that you got from them, and to be the person that you want to be, the person that is deserving of wearing that red helmet and being the best leader that you can be. It's very difficult for me to be in that position because I didn't ever truly want to be in that position. I kind of was placed in that position. But I try to embrace it now. At first, I was very nervous and very unsure of whether or not I could do it. And then I realized, well, I kind of been doing it anyway. You know, I kind of had done those things without the pressure as a fireman. And I was able to do that without all the extra added stress of wearing a different colored helmet. And I think that putting that helmet on, it makes it feel heavier. It makes it feel like there's more. But really, it's just a thing on your head that says, hey, I've been around a minute, and I can help you with, certain things. I can help you up to a point.
Absolutely. And I was a captain on the department that I was on. So believe me when I say I understand that pain. Pain of struggling with, am I doing the right thing? Am I making that right decision? Am I making that right call within split seconds? I mean, sometimes it can be pretty heavy because you got people, you're at the top of the chain. I mean, you got people looking up to you to make the right decision. So sometimes it can be a little stressful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my very first call as a lieutenant in command, like so many things that I did that were not something that I was proud of or what I would have normally done. And we page out for an investigation. I see a column of smoke where I think it is. And I took the tanker because it was 2,000 gallons of water. I had a fireman with me. I left a couple back at the station. I said, hey, if we need you guys, jump in, I'll tell you what truck, bring it to such and such location once I find, what it is. But I was thinking, it looks like it could be a structure, down this gravel road that I know. That I ended up heading over there, and a guy come flying up on me with his pickup truck, flashing his lights at me, trying to stop me. I pull over into the driveway of this gravel drive that goes a long way back, and he pulls up next to me and asks me to turn around. He said it's over in the chats. So I was thinking, well, what is burning over there that is creating that much smoke? So I turn around, follow him, and we come through, and I get to the top of the hill at the chats, and I'm looking down, and I can see that there's a small brush fire, grass vegetation fire, and it was in some cattails, and that was causing the black smoke. So I'm in a tanker. I can't make it down that hill in that tanker. So I have to call for the other guys. Thank God they were back at the firehouse. Otherwise, it would have been even more of a cluster, but I asked them to bring a brush unit, and I asked for central dispatch out units for a brush fire. They didn't pull the run card. They asked me who I wanted, and so in that moment, I'm like, who do I want?
I don't know.
So I just thought,
Thank you for putting me on the spot.
that's how I felt. So I ended up, asking for units and asking for who I wanted or who I thought was going to be quick and close response. And I ended up leaving the scene with the tanker, taking it back to the firehouse and swapping it with another brush truck and coming down there.
Oh, wow.
And really, at the end of everything, we had a lot of fire, and it stretched across a span there, but it was on top of a swamp, on top of the water. and there was no way to access it, and there's nothing we could really do. So the folks that run St. Joe had a dozer down there. They dozed a line around one side, and that's all we could do. And ended up being an okay situation.
Yeah.
But that first initial, oh man, I'm the guy, I'm it. I got to make the decisions and the calls, and I got to be the one to know what to do, was very stressful and kind of slapped me in the face. But I learned from that, and I try to do things better, and learn every time that I end up in a situation where I have to make a decision. I have to learn something from it and break it down and debrief myself and try to make it better for next time and the next time I'm in that situation. So at first it was a lot of stress and made me feel very out of place and like I didn't know what I was doing, like I was the new guy again. And that feeling is familiar, these days with the moving around and the things that you're starting over brand new somewhere. That feeling can be overwhelming, but I was able to navigate through that and understand that I'm just doing a job, and there's going to be people that say, well, you should have done this and you should have done that.
Oh, yeah.
And they're probably right. However, I didn't, and what can I do about that? Nothing, except for change it for next time.
Yeah, it's just like the pelvic binder that you brought up earlier a lot, and that's all you can do is learn, and that's part of the job. That's part of doing what we're doing here is just learning that, man, I didn't make the best call this time, but the next time I know, okay, well maybe I'll change it and we'll do it this way.
Well, and then I love those moments too when you are driving and you think, oh my Lord, I just totally ran that whole call and I did this, and this. And, and what I find is my life at work is so chaotic and I can handle it. But if I get home and my socks aren't right, I'm flipping out and I think, what is, your priorities here? But it's also that good feeling of when you sit and think, yeah, we rocked that. I got everything I needed to be where it needed to be. That's a good feeling too. And I don't think we always focus on that. We do have a tendency, well, I should have done that. I should have taken that, when it all worked out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what kind of pressure comes with being a volunteer officer when people look up to you for decisions and guidance? And I know we kind of covered that just now, but just having somebody come up to you in general has got to be...
So for whatever reason, throughout life, I've had people come to me with things that I don't know why. They come to me and would tell me their life story and tell me things that I have no business knowing about.
Yes.
But I listen. So I think that's why people do that. I don't know why, but I've always kind of been a person that people will talk to, and it stays between myself and that person. I don't have any reason to betray someone's trust in me, and that's an important thing to me, is that when someone comes to me in confidence to tell me something, if it's an issue that needs to be addressed, that needs to be brought further, I preface the conversation with, this is something that's going to have to be resolved above my head. And I do that because I try to make it transparent and clear to each person that comes to me that I'm glad that you come to me and talk to me and feel comfortable talking to me. And then there are things that are out of my control that I have to take further up the chain to be able to resolve, because I can't resolve it at my level. And sometimes people just want to talk, and so that's where things get kind of shady for some people, where they have a hard time, separating their roles. And I'm fairly decent at separating things. My wife, for example, she is a board member. She's a board member when we're in a board meeting. She's my wife when we're at home. And being able to separate those two things, we're both very good at. A lot of people, they say don't mix work and family. I worked for my dad. I worked for my best friend. We were able to separate work relationship and our relationship as a friend or as my father,
Yeah.
and be able to leave work at work. Most people can't do that, and I understand that. I totally get it. I just can, and so because I can, that helps me with dealing with that. I can talk to people and just talk. I just have to be careful and cognizant that I know what I talk about, they see as me, Dylan, talking to them versus, the lieutenant talking to them.
Yeah.
And so I have in the past caught myself talking and having conversations with people that maybe it was inappropriate of an officer to talk to an individual in a certain way. But as a friend or a brother in the fire service, it's different. But there are times where I have to try to maintain a level of professionalism in certain circumstances. And it's easy to fall off of that and forget who your audience is and forget where you're at. But I'm trying every day to do better with that and be more in my place at the right time. Mm-hmm. When people come to me with things, I guess because of that, having throughout my life people come to me, it doesn't really stress me out or anything. It just creates a relationship with that person, and then it allows me to be able to just be honest and open with them about what I think that the next step should be or what we should do in a situation. And doesn't mean that I'm right, but it's how I approach it. I don't really have too much pressure when it comes to just individual issues.
And I think, because I'm like you, I have people that will talk to me and tell me things that there are some things I still have nightmares about, funny things or whatever. But it's an honor that people feel comfortable talking to me. But one of the things I do the same thing that you do. I preference, whatever. But then now I will say, okay, do you want the provider version or do you want the mom version? And because I have to, it's hard sometimes, like you said, to separate it because, and Maria knows this, we're all very close at work. And there are times, if you'd have walked by our office last week and week before, you would have thought it was brothers and sisters and they're fighting. But we can also all separate that. And I think that's just people need that. And there are some people, once again, it goes back to our conversation, that are just put on that earth to hear stories that, it's, like I said, I could write a book on things I've been told.
Oh, yeah.
But it's an honor. And I feel like if somebody says, can I talk to you about something? Absolutely, your confidence is with me. I mean, I have things I will absolutely go to my grave with that people have told me.
And you may be the only person that gives them that time of day.
And I bet that's where, bless you.
Thank you.
I'm sure that's where a lot of the incarcerated, and it was only men, right, that you dealt with?
Yeah, it was a male
I wasn't
only.
sure, but I'm sure that they sensed that from you. They knew that they could come and talk to you and that you weren't looking at them as their DOC number or anything. They were going to be able to talk to you as a human.
Yeah, I mean, there were many times where I had those instances where there was two sergeants that were trying to deal with this individual, and they got some stuff thrown on him through a chuck hole because he took it hostage and kept some contraband items he wasn't supposed to have. And I was the only person that he would allow to come to the cell and retrieve those items. I fully expected him to throw something on me or do something, so I was prepared for that. But I went up and I addressed him the same way I always did, and
Do you
had no
ever
issue.
feel overwhelmed, though, by that? Do you feel like whenever you're sitting at your spot that you have so much going on that you're not necessarily sharing with everybody, and somebody brings this to you, and you're thinking, got to take care of it. Then there's the next thing, and I know just recently, I just wanted to say, I have my own stuff. I can't deal with you. But so how do you handle that, Dylan?
So I used to have more of a stress involved with other people's problems and dealing with that along with mine and neglecting my own for the sake of someone else. I always kind of had that growing up, and like tried to appease everyone and try to make everyone else happy, but wasn't really focusing on what I needed to do for myself or for my family. And then over time, I've been able to listen to someone and help them as much as I can. But there's a point in which I can't, and I have to advise them on what I think is going to be best for them to resolve their situation. But I have my own.
So do you tell them that?
I do, because that's the
Okay,
only
so
way.
that's, I've got to, I can't.
Yeah.
I've got to work on that.
It's hard because you want to be there for people and you want to help people, and that's what we do. We help people. But there are times where you can only help someone so far, but they have to be willing to help themselves as well.
So do you feel like that you could ask, I know with Taylor, I know you could go at any point and talk about things, but do you feel like you can do that now yourself and say, hey, I'm the one struggling, I need the help?
I do. I think that if I truly felt that there was a time that I needed to let go and talk about what was going on with myself, that I could, and I wouldn't be able to say that 2 years ago. I pretty much quit drinking. I have an occasional social drink, and that's it. I don't have the desire to just drink and do all those things. Like I just don't anymore. And I think that having some not so great wake up calls of people that I respect and care about and love tell me that it was time for me to change the way that I was approaching my personal demons and be able to find a new way to deal with that. If it wasn't for that, I think that I would have never put the correlation together and understood that if I let all these things outside of my own life affect what I have to deal with, I'll never get to what I have to deal with. It's too much on the plate for one person.
Well, and I'm just curious about this because do you sometimes feel like in your work of being the fireman, and do you run EMS calls too? Do you alternate back and forth?
We don't run an ambulance, but we do. We run all EMS.
Okay.
And so we're running with it'd be Rock Township up there. We run with them, and then at Leadwood we don't run as many EMS calls as we used to. We run life threats, so we're not running EMS near as often. But we do run a lot of EMS at work. So
do you find yourself with the personality that you have, after you run a call, you then start thinking about everybody else? Well, I wonder how the dispatcher's feeling. I'm wondering how the ambulance crew's feeling. I wonder how that parent is feeling. That's where I become overwhelmed.
Especially the parents. After becoming a parent, I had a moment of life that hit me so hard, like a train running you over, because I looked at this tiny little baby and could see all the things that I'd experienced up to that point with people losing children and things that happened that bothered me at the time, but it was a different kind of feeling once I became a father. Like having a child of your own and knowing what it feels like to love them in a way that you can't describe with words, and then feel other people's trauma. You feel everything that you saw those parents go through. You see it and think of your child and think of how it would feel for you in that moment.
And I know for me, sometimes I wish I could wake up and not feel that way, but then it goes back to that, I'm glad I do feel that way.
Yeah, it makes you a human being that cares and has a heart, because it is not something abnormal to feel those feelings for others. It is something that is a normal response. You should have those feelings. And I do believe that more people than are willing to say have feelings that they don't talk about because they perceive themselselves as tougher than that, or whatever the case is. But we're supposed to. We're supposed to have those feelings.
Do you ever find it hard to mentally turn it all off when you get home? Like, how do you work through it to separate that?
So I used to have a hard time with that. I would take things home with me that I didn't realize I was taking home with me, and it would create anger, and I would be snappy, and I would have a lot of things on my mind that I couldn't explain to other people that wouldn't understand, and I couldn't figure out how to recognize it or find a way to relieve that subconscious stress that was happening inside.
I think sometimes you just don't know how to express it because you don't know for sure how you feel. And if I don't know how I feel, how am I going to tell you?
Yeah.
And of course, the first people that are going to take that are the people you love.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
then, you have feelings that feed off of each other because they don't understand. So they're upset because you're being an asshole and they don't understand. And so they're going to be an asshole for you being an asshole, and then they feed off each other. It was something that I struggled with for quite some time, and then I was able to eventually, like a light bulb went off that I can leave things where they lie and then come home and be home. And then when I go back, I can turn that switch back on of now I am here, I'm at work. And I think just reflection on my life and what my purpose is and why I have made it to where I am and my journey with God has helped me to be able to deal with those feelings in a much healthier way and in a way that works. I mean, I'm able to experience some of the worst things that people experience and come home and eat dinner with my family and have a good time playing with my daughter and do those things fairly well. There are times where I still, catch myself being irritated or and I have to try to rein myself in.
Yeah.
But
it's like a subconscious more than it is a conscious feeling.
Yeah, we've talked about your faith and how that has helped you beyond measures. I do want to know, how important has your wife's support been through all of this? Because I know Taylor, and she's been great to work with for this event we got coming up, and I want to know from...
and she's very passionate, too, about the mental health of...
Absolutely, which is why she was part of the reason we're doing this whole event, and I'm so excited for it. I want to know from your perspective on how supportive she's been.
I can't even describe how supportive she's been.
Well, and I think that whenever you have a person you come home to that doesn't know, it is often very hard. But I know when she spoke with us a few weeks back, both of you are very lucky to have that.
Absolutely.
And she truly is, I mean, she loves you. She's so proud of you.
Very.
So proud of you. And you're very blessed to have that because so many people don't have that to go home to.
That's very
true. And you deserve it, Dylan. Because I think you also need that. You also need to know everything that's happened to you up until this moment, you did deserve it.
I appreciate that. It's hard to... It's almost like when someone thanks you for your service.
You're just like, you too. I know, I hate that.
I feel very... like imposter syndrome, I haven't done enough to deserve the things that I've been blessed with. And my family, without her, I would not be in a good place. I may not even be alive. I don't know.
Right.
And the only reason that things worked out the way they did is because of what happened with me. If I hadn't got that DWI and gone through that spiral, the way that the events played out, we would have never ended up together. And she was part of the grand plan all along.
Right.
She gave me every bit of poke and drive in the right direction, giving me that push and that shove in a mostly loving way that I should pursue something that I've always wanted to pursue, and that she fully stood by me. She changed her career to try to accommodate what I was trying to do, and the sacrifices that she's made along the way, for me, I feel like I'm undeserving of all of the sacrifices that have been made, because I don't feel like I have ever been able to reciprocate that to her.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's a very difficult thing to do on my part, because I don't know how sometimes to reciprocate
You're fine,
that
man.
she put into getting me where I am, and it's made all of our lives better because I'm not in that rut that I was in before. And I think for her that the juice is probably worth the squeeze, because our relationship has grown so much by her standing by my side and pushing me when I didn't deserve that, and I didn't deserve to have her put up with me and stay, and put up with all the things that were me before that I am disgusted with. And she stayed and helped shape my view on myself and on my life as a whole into a place where I can truly see how blessed I am. So, yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to describe how important that she has been. And I do hope that everyone out there finds that. There's so many people that in this line of work, especially, that just don't have that support structure. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to do this on your own.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more, man. So outside of the fire service, you enjoy spending time with family, friends, hunting, working out. I know you play the guitar, and I know you're a big gun fanatic, which kind of works out because we're in a gun store right now. What are those? How do those help you mentally? Just let it all go and let you enjoy life. How does that work?
So, being in the woods and hunting is probably my biggest mode of decompression and stress relief, because I'm out there with nothing, with no distractions, no noise, no real world problems in the time that I'm out there. And I try to connect myself with the real world, and not
And
this world that
literally
we've made.
the real world,
Yeah.
because I know that being out in nature like that is just, if you don't take that moment, man, people need to.
They do. They need to take the moment to experience and enjoy everything that we have in this world. Because if we just live in the world that we created, that's not real life. I mean, the technology, all the things that we make ourselves do and fill our schedules with, and have all these things that we think are important. In reality, you take things down to the bare roots of everything, and to the true nature of how we got here in the first place. That's the most important thing. If you can get out there and connect with all the things around you that are real, physical things that are, true life, and live it, it allows you to let go of all those things that the world puts on you, and the stress that's imposed on you by your, basically, it's a fake way of going about being a human being. We live in this society that everyone is so worried about things that don't matter. So that's how I get through and relieve a bunch of built up stress throughout the year. And I have those few months a year that I go out and I just enjoy being out there. And even if I don't see, whatever animal I'm after, I still enjoy just sitting there and watching all the things around me, and seeing a squirrel run up a tree next to me, and sit there and scratch around, and, just every little bit of life that you get to see how it interacts with each other.
Well, and when you're out doing that, like for the first 5 or 10 minutes, you're still kind of running through real life in your head, but then when you start thinking, I can smell the dirt, or I can feel the breeze on my cheek, or I hear that squirrel back there, that's the best feeling, I think, in the world. Whenever, because it usually takes me a little bit of time to get in the moment, but man, when I do, oh, it's the best feeling ever. And honestly, it's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, I feel like I become more successful in my hunting ventures whenever I'm out there and I'm not thinking about anything other than just the satisfaction of being there. And when I'm in the moment of being there and being away from everything and I don't have those distractions on my mind, I ended up, making it happen. I mean, a deer will come walking up and present itself and give me an open shot that allows me to harvest that animal and feed my family. We lived off, exclusively lived off deer meat for like 5 years because, times were hard, things cost a lot of money, and we were able to save money by living off deer meat. So not only was it a thing that helped me tremendously, but also provided for my family for the year. So
It's a benefactor for sure.
yeah, and nothing can replace that. I mean, I grew up since I was 3 years old. My dad would pack me out on his shoulders and being out in the woods, and I'm so thankful for growing up the way I did out there in the woods.
Yeah.
That's definitely created something for me that I wish everyone could experience.
So when stress starts to build up before you get to go out on these adventures, what are some warning signs of it, and what habits and routines help keep you grounded when things do get heavy?
So I start to notice that I'll get more irritable. I will get lethargic and not have motivation to do the things that I normally do, like go to the gym, like do some of the housework that needs to be done. I just want to not do anything. And I've been in a season of that recently where I just haven't had the motivation to get up and go and do the things that I know that I need to do. And a routine helps, like having a set schedule that you stick to, and being able to, the things that you can't control, but the things that you can, if you do them a certain way, the same way every day, it tends to help me a lot to feel like I have at least accomplished something for the day. You get up and make my bed, do the things that on a daily routine that help keep you focused and on a straight and narrow path.
And that's a little thing, but I've read that even if you make your bed 10 minutes before you crawl in it at night, that's an accomplishment. And when you get into that mode, you can mark off, I made my bed.
Absolutely.
And I think we're all kind of in that season right now with the way the weather is, maybe. Then the fact the world we're living in is kind of shitty right now. But so what advice would you give to others that are maybe feeling that way?
I would say that it has to start somewhere. So you have to get up while you're thinking of it, while you get the motivation, get up and do something, and then do something else, and do something else, and just keep going. And then once you have done these things, it's going to continue to build and give you that motivation to keep on that track. It's like going to the gym. It's miserable for someone starting in the gym and going the first 3 weeks, first month. But if you make yourself go, even if you didn't feel up to it that day or you don't feel great and you don't want to go, when you make yourself go, you feel that sense of accomplishment. Like, I did it even though I didn't want to do it. I checked the box, I did it. And then you just keep doing it. As long as you keep doing those things, you will progress and get better, and then you'll get to a point to where you feel off if you don't accomplish the task that you had set and for yourself for the day. But you have to be disciplined to yourself, and it's extremely hard to do. It's easy to say, it's hard to do. Being self-disciplined is something that I've had ebbs and flows with my whole life. I think most people have. And I can sit here and say what I think people should do and be a hypocrite because I've been that person before who sat in the chair and said I should go to the gym, and then I turn on the TV and kick their legs up and don't go. And that's a constant struggle for anyone in life.
Well, and I think that's, and I have finally learned the opposite too, that if I am feeling sad, it's okay to sit in my sadness. I can lay in bed a little bit longer, but I'm not going to live there. I've got to get up and get motivated. And I think that that's where we sometimes in this line of work fall short. Okay, I had a rough night. I am tired. Because I know you think you have to have your mind going. You have to be in that. But it is okay to take those moments, sit in it, but get in the hot shower, get on some clothes, and go to the gym. Or for me, I like to go to Five Below and spend $60. But I mean, seriously, you can't. It is okay to sit in it, but then it's also, you have to have the self-discipline.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, you're answering to yourself, and that's what makes it so easy to make excuses in your head as to why you didn't do something. Because you're only answering to you. When you're answering to others, it's harder to allow yourself to not do what you have to do.
Absolutely.
When you have to get up and go to work, when you have to be places at certain times, it's harder to push that aside than it is for things that you are doing for yourself. And that's where it starts, is you have to be able to open up that door and walk through it for yourself, and then continue to get up and open that door every day. Because if you don't, then you'll stay in that state, and you won't do anything outside of the things that you were forced to do.
And I know the big phrase of, no one's going to come and save you. And in reality, they're not. You do have your tribe, your people. But in the end, really, the only person that's going to save me is me. And I think when you finally realize that you love yourself, you are your biggest fan, that's when things do turn around. When you allow that positivity, that whatever self-reassurance that you need, that's when you become the person that truly God intended. That's when the lessons are learned. And
I couldn't agree with that one more.
yeah.
So we've kind of touched on mental health some here and there. I do want to kind of hit it a little heavier here. So mental health is something firefighters struggle to talk about. They volunteer, full-time. We all just struggle to talk about it. Why do you think
Well, I don't.
Well, you don't, but you're a different breed, Lochie.
That's why people look at me like I'm crazy.
That's why you're a hit on the show. So why do you think it's been so hard to normalize those conversations? And have you noticed any kind of change in the fire service with mental health discussion?
So I'll start with why I think it's so hard is we all get into this thinking that we are going to be the saviors of people. We are going to be the ones that they call on their worst days, and we are. Well, people don't want to show any kind of weakness when it comes to being that person, because it makes them feel like they don't belong or they are not right for the job. And honestly, it could be the farthest thing from the truth, because just by human nature, you're supposed to have those feelings, and you're supposed to feel a certain kind of way when things happen. And it wasn't talked about for many, many years because of that A-type personality, that I'm tougher than that these things don't affect me, that I can do this without having any type of consequence. And it's just simply not true. And I don't care who it is. Every single person has feelings, whether they talk about them or not, and they deal with things in various ways, and a lot of unhealthy ways. But people don't want to be taken away from what they love doing. They don't want there to be a consequence of them opening up. And so everyone keeps their mouth shut because they don't want to be the person that is that person that has an issue that gets brought up, and now they're getting pulled away from the job for a while because they're looked at as if they can't do it, or that they just can't hack it because they don't have what it takes. And that's why people suffer in silence. And when I first got into the fire service, it really wasn't a thing that was talked about. I mean, nobody really kind of brought it up. I mean, we would have our own little discussions at the firehouse that were mostly joking around and trying to brush things off. That were really, at the time, I didn't know any different. I didn't understand that that's what was happening, that it was just being brushed off to try to deal with it in a joking manner, or deal with it in a way that really should have been talked about instead of made into, people making jokes or whatever. Because a lot of folks deal with things that way because they are bringing it up without having to bring it up. And over the years, especially now, in the last 5-6 years, things have really gotten better as far as people being able to feel more comfortable talking about how they feel and what's going on with them. And it's a good thing. I think that everyone has to have a way to relieve all these things that are inside that they feel they can't talk to people about. There should always be somebody that you can go to and talk to. I don't think that everyone needs to go see a shrink. I don't think that everyone needs to talk to a counselor, because I don't think that helps in certain circumstances. I think it just makes them feel silly or like they're crazy. And yeah, there's a stigma on it. I get it. But personally, that kind of stuff wouldn't work for me. I get more out of just having a conversation with somebody that I love and trust, that I know that I can talk to that person and there's no judgment, there's no any kind of feelings towards it, or somebody who went through a similar situation that understands those feelings as well, and we're able to both discuss it and both get it off of our mind and off our chest, because that, I think, does more good for people than anything else. And I hope that people continue to open up and talk to each other and help each other out, because if you're feeling a certain kind of way, chances are everyone else is too.
Absolutely. I couldn't have put that in any better words. Could you, Lucky?
No, and majority of our people we have on here are not big fans of the therapy part, which is fine. My first therapist was great because I had to deal with the childhood trauma stuff that I went through. The lady I see now, she works in EMS. So not only does she see me as a person, she also sees me as a provider. And then sometimes I just like to talk shit with the closest coworkers I have. And I have my people that I can talk the same story 56 times. And they're still there for me.
Absolutely.
And I have some that will straight up tell me that you're ridiculous in feeling this way. But then they also know that sometimes I need to, even though they might be lying to my face, say, yeah, everything's okay. But you have to find your people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you hope the younger generation coming in after you and so on and so forth carry on that tradition?
I do. But the thing that's important is that we have to, those that are in the position now to carry the torch have to be able to carry the torch and show them the path that they need to take, and make sure that by the time that they reach that point, that it's they're going to be handed off the torch, and it's going to be in a good manner, in a way that they can carry that forward for others as well, because it all starts with us now. We have to be the example and lead these people in a way that will grow and become what the fire service had become over generations and centuries of people that get into that line of work. We have many traditions, and the military has many traditions, and all these things. That's something that we need to make a tradition. But it only happens if everyone is willing to take part in creating that environment.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with that one anymore. And I forgot to add this in when we were talking about it earlier, but I do want to talk about that one call that just affects you and that has affected you, or multiple calls for that matter, with your mental health, and what made you realize that this is a bigger problem of people not talking about it?
So for me, it was more of a accumulation of calls. So it goes back to that moment of realization, becoming a parent, and having that all hit me at once.
Yeah.
It was the mass of everything that I'd experienced that hit me through a parent's eyes versus, just me, an individual that had, no children, nothing that could make me understand what that's like. Mm-hmm. But once you do, and you do understand what it's like to be a parent, the way that those things affect you is so much greater, because every single person was somebody's baby. Every person was someone's child or is someone's child. And when you realize that, and it is like an awakening to your soul, that that could have been you at any point. Something could happen, and you could be in the same position as the people that you have seen go through some of the most terrible experiences that you could imagine.
Well, and I'm going to interrupt real quick because I don't know why it made me think of this, but we always ask the call. This conversation, I don't know if it is actually the call. I think it's exactly what you said. It's an accumulation of all of this, and that just happens to be that, for a lack of knowing what to say, core memory that hits that. So then what I realized whenever I had my break of what bothered me, I don't talk about when I was 7 or when I was 14 or when I was 23. No, it was that day that I had
Realized.
that call.
Yeah.
So, I think that we're using that as kind of it's not that call.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime.
It is. And it's like you said, I mean, your mind might focus on one thing, and I think it's your subconscious mind trying to pinpoint the issue and trying to find something that would cause these issues that people experience. But in reality, I don't believe that it could just be one instance. It's a pile on. It's if you stack a 10-pound weight on someone's chest, it's not very heavy. They can handle that. It's not going to impede their ability to breathe. But you start adding a plate and another plate and another plate, and it gets heavier and heavier, and eventually they're going to be struggling. And that is basically what our life's work is that we build all of these things up that weigh heavy, and the weight has to be offloaded at some point. And so you have to be able to take that and shed it, because you can only hold so much. For me, there's so many different things in my life that I don't really think have affected me, but I think that's what you want to think. That's what people, they look at something and say, oh, it hasn't affected me. But everything that we go through affects you. Just, it's so light and insignificant that you don't pay attention to it until everything else is added on.
So what advice would you give to someone who feels that they're being called to serve in this line of work?
I would probably say that you're not going to know what you're capable of until you try. So you have to make that initial move to know how you're going to be able to react and handle those situations. And so when people come in new, it's always basically a waiting game. You have to see if they're going to be able to process what we deal with and do their job that they're called to do in the moment. You can train and practice and do all the things in the world, and
absolutely
in the moments when you find out. So I always urge people to really consider that and think about that, because if you don't know what your reaction is to something like that, and you've never been through anything that would give you any kind of inclination.
Because what we do is not a normal day.
No. I mean,
And it's okay to walk away from it. If you're going to EMT class and you are doing a clinical and you're with that person on the worst day of their life and you can't handle it, it's okay. Not everybody is cut out to do it.
yeah. Everyone's threshold is different.
absolutely.
And that's too where I will burn a house down. I never want to hear people say, oh, well, Dylan's being this way. He didn't even know that person. Don't even go there with me, because you don't know what a person is thinking about and how a person handles it. Everybody is different on how to handle it. And so that is something that just,
Yeah, I've had people have those moments where they've been like, "Well, you didn't even know them." Well, no,
but I'm a human being.
Yeah, I mean, I whenever the floods happened down in Texas, and everything was on the news, and you saw where that girls' camp got washed away, I cried for 45 minutes, like hard, ugly cry in the kitchen, just because I'm a parent. My daughters are around that age. I couldn't imagine going through that, and I pray that I never do. It's a hard thing.
And that's, I guess that's probably sometimes what goes back to that bad part of having the personality that I think all three of us have. I always think too, what were the last things that person were thinking? Or I was recently in a situation that the worst thing could have happened, and to go back home that night. Everything's there.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes my drive back from Potosi to Bismarck is nice. And there are times I will drive home and think, I can't even believe I did what I did. And so that's where it just hurts my heart sometimes so much. And I'm like you. I can sit and cry. I can remember thinking about that flooding. Those kids just went for the best week of their life.
Yeah.
And, it does. And that's where, if you're not cut, have to have kindness in order to do this job. Well, just be a human. That's all you got to do. I don't know. It just.
No, I agree. It's sad that we even have people giving us issues about what we're doing here, but people are just people. You know how they are. They're self-aware, and that's all they care about themselves. I do want to give you an opportunity. This is going to be a first here on our podcast because you're just somebody I hold special to me, man. So if your daughter ever listens to this episode years from now, when she's on her own or whatever, what message would you hope she takes away about strength, faith, and asking for help? This is a message from you to her.
That's a difficult one because it's hard to put into words. What I would really hope that she would take is to know that nobody is invincible. No matter who they are or how you see them, everyone has that human nature, that they have a breaking point and a point at which they need to be willing to open up and talk to one another and to be able to ask for help when you need it, because sometimes asking for help is the hardest thing in the world to do. It's not something that I do very easily. But there are times when you have to let go of that pride and be able to say, no, I need help. I need someone to help me with this. And that is the best thing you can do for yourself, for your family, for everyone around you, because if you are not where you should be and you don't ask for help, you'll never get out of that on your own. You know that already. So I would just hope that she would see this and see me willing to open up and talk and discuss some of the things that she's way too young now to understand or know. And I don't really want her to have to understand any of the things that I have dealt with, because she would have to experience those things to understand them as well. And I just hope that she takes that and understands that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to open up and talk about whatever it is. And it doesn't matter how insignificant it may feel or seem to you, that it's significant and you need to talk about it. And I'll always be there for her as long as I'm breathing.
That's a good thing, man. And I wanted to give you that opportunity because I know you're very close with your daughter. And I watched the video Taylor posted the other night of you guys playing laser tag, and I thought that was quite comical. Seemed like you guys are having a great time.
Yeah.
Speaking of comical, we'll get into our rapid fire round. You've listened to our episodes before? You know how this works, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So we'll get out of the touchy stuff for just a quick moment, and we'll jump in and have a little bit of fun. What do you think, Locke?
Sounds good to me. I got a birthday party to go to.
Yeah, Maddie's going to kick your butt. So I'll name off all these questions. Quickest thing you can think of, say it. Sound good?
All right.
So coffee or energy drink before work?
Energy drink.
Yeah, those
Which
things are-
one?
I usually go with C4.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those things are terrible for you. Well, that's the only thing that keeps you going.
Says
these
the
days.
lady who drinks Red Bull.
Red Bull's good. Volunteer firehouse or career station vibe?
Volunteer.
I knew that was coming. Attaboy. Favorite off-duty activity? Hunting, gym, guitar, or range time? Which one's your absolute favorite?
Hunting.
Hunting. I kind of figured after we had our little discussion earlier. Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Perfect. Music choice, country, rock, or worship?
All of them.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Best meal after a long shift?
A hot one.
That's you just steady Holland.
That is good.
That was a pretty good one. That was quick. One thing that instantly helps you decompress.
Shooting guns.
I could see that.
It's an
Lockie,
instant
maybe you need
stress
to.
reliever.
There we go.
It's either that or weightlifting. Both of them are pretty good.
I think I'd rather shoot guns. It sounds more fun.
Yeah, because the thoughts that are through my mind will not be discussed on public radio.
Remember that we have limits here. Let's see. Favorite plate or favorite piece of gear on the job?
Oh, I don't really have a favorite piece of gear.
No, not a tool.
No, I utilize everything when I need it. So I don't really. It just depends on the situation, really. I don't really have something that I'm like, I have to have this. A flashlight, you gotta have a flashlight.
Yeah, mine was a Halligan bar, and I'm just weird, I guess. So, I say one word. You can use two because I know the people that you serve with on Leadwood, and I know you got two different terms for them here. One word that describes your fire family, and this can go for volunteer and your career.
Brotherhood. I mean, it sounds cliche. It is, but it's the truth. I mean, when you become a family, you become a family.
Yeah.
And you're willing to go and lose your life if need be for those people.
Absolutely.
Could not agree with that one more. Now, I know surely you got something else you want to call Brandon Hall. I mean, we had him on here at some point. I was thinking the term shithead, but that's just me.
I mean, that one works. Goofy bastard. I don't know. That's two words.
That's a good one, too. So one word you hope your daughter would use to describe you.
It sounds weird. It feels weird for me to say what I would think that I would want her to say, but honorable.
Honorable? That's a good one, man. And I truly believe she can describe her dad like that someday. I truly do. You're a good man. So we're going to kind of get into our closing wrap-up stuff here, but we got a couple more questions we always like to ask everybody. Is there someone, a firefighter, EMT, dispatcher, law enforcement officer, or any first responder, or veteran for that matter, who you think deserves to have their story shared on Voices of Valor, and what makes them someone our listeners should hear from?
Man, that's tough. There's a lot of people that I could name, and I don't know that I could think of an individual person that I think would be willing to do it. First of all, I think Charlie would be a good one. I think that it would be an impactful thing for him to come on and say something.
Years of experience on that one.
Yeah, 40 years doing it and going on 41. And I just think that he would have a good way of describing the things that he's experienced through those 40 years. I think that he is at a place where he would be a good person that should be heard.
Well, there you go. Charlie Lewis, this is your call out to come join us here on Voices of Valor. I don't know that we'll get you to do it, but we will sure try. Dylan, I'm counting on you to work with me on that to get old Charlie to come pay me a visit.
It'll be a difficult task to achieve.
For sure, but we're going to try to achieve it because Charlie is one of many characters for sure. He's a great guy. So I encourage everybody to come join us because I feel like we're doing a really good thing here. We're 10 people in now, and we're booked out till April, so we got a lot of a lot more people to talk to. I'm so excited. So this question we like to ask absolutely everybody that comes on our Voices of Valor series, and this will be our 10th answer. And as I told you earlier, I'm going to make a mashup of this question after this episode. We ask everyone this question: what does the word valor mean to you both personally and professionally?
So it would mean the same either way. It doesn't really matter if it's professional or personally. It's the same definition for me, and it's one that's hard to describe in words because I don't feel as though I've ever displayed true valor. I don't believe that I deserve that kind of title, and not many people do. It's a way of being that someone is in a moment that they have to make a split decision that is not taking their own safety or their own life in regard, but that of those around them and those that they've sworn on to protect and to be there for them. And when a person exhibits a moment of valor, it's one of the greatest things that a person can do, because you don't know that you're going to do that until you do. You're given an opportunity in a moment to make that choice, and you can't really describe what that means, I guess, but it's something that should be held to the highest regard. And I think that it's very hard to achieve. And to be honest with you, I hope that I am not put in a position in which it comes down to that decision to be made. Not because of fear for not making that decision, but when things come to that point, it's a bad day for everybody. So I would hope that throughout my life that I don't ever earn valor.
Wow.
That is a good one. That might top some of the ones that we've had. I'm not going to lie, that's a change up, and gave me goosebumps. So congratulations on that. Wow, that cut deep, brother. Really, it truly did. I cannot thank you enough for coming and sitting here with us today, sharing stories that I don't know that you ever would have shared with anybody else, other than obviously your wife and family. But Dylan, you're a great dude. I can't give you enough credit, man. I truly can't. Just watching you overcome, just seeing the bits and pieces that I have seen, you overcome everything and be where you are today. When I seen that you were finally going to be a full-time professional fireman, I was rooting you on, brother. We don't talk a whole lot. Obviously, our lives go down different paths, but you are, if there was a picture to describe somebody who people should look up to, it should definitely be yours. You are you're a very leading example, not only in the fire service, as a father, as a husband, just in true reality, man. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy day in life to come sit here and do this with all of our listeners and me and Lochie. I truly can't.
No, I think every person that you enter into their life, whether it be a stranger, your spouse, friends, are a very lucky human being to have you.
Absolutely, man. Cannot thank you enough.
And your daughter will have the best adjectives to describe her dad. She's a lucky little girl.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that a lot, and I don't feel deserving of it, but I do greatly appreciate that from you guys.
You're welcome, brother. Anytime. I'm so glad we got to do this with you. I've been looking forward to this episode by itself for quite a while, and I was really bummed when it got snowed in last weekend. Yeah. Snowmageddon of 2026 so far. But again, thank you so much for joining us here. You're our 10th guest here on Voices of Valor. You're a fantastic human, and I hope you keep on living the way you're living, because if we had more people like you, the world would be a hell of a lot better of a place. A couple things we got coming up. We've got the free mental health seminar over West County Middle School. We've been working with Dylan and his wife Taylor, and the Leadwood Fire Protection District is putting it on, and it'll pop up here on our screen at some point. But it's going to be March 28th, 11 to 3 over at the West County Middle School. There's going to be food trucks, vendors, two keynote keynote speakers, if I can talk today. I'm finally stroking out. Kevin
It's easy for you to say.
Kevin Kapler, Valor Beeson, all kinds of vendors. Our friends from Frontline Army are getting all kinds of door prizes for us to give out for Leadwood to give out, and we're so excited to have them there. Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen is going to have some free coffee for all the first responders and veterans that come by, and we're going to listen to both of our keynote speakers and listen to what they have to say and just enjoy the day. This event is for you first responders. I cannot thank them enough for putting this on and letting us be a part of it. Lochie and I will be there broadcasting live from the event. We're going to be talking to all kinds of people. We will have Voices of Valor sign-ups, all kinds of stuff to give away, and I'm really looking forward to the day. It's going to be a really good time, and I hope everybody comes and join us. I hope it's so full we can't find a parking spot.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a good time. What do you think, Locke?
Absolutely. And I think, too, I know we don't always do this towards the end, but also I with this time and the season and the way the yuck is outside, if you are struggling mentally, we do have the 988. From
Yep.
what I can understand, the second it's called, there are resources available. I think one of the closest places currently is DeSoto, Hillsboro, Festus area.
DeSoto, I believe.
Everybody has our numbers. I have people that are resources, but please, 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 if you are struggling, ask for help.
Absolutely.
And it's the economy's tough right now on everybody. Please don't hesitate to reach out for help. Unfortunately, our 10 guests are now resources as well. I hope that they don't necessarily know that they signed up for that, but you are resources as well. I also know that they are an inspiration to many. I have people that thank me for what we're doing, talk about individuals that they can't believe they came on the show to talk about it. We are doing good things. It is an election time. It's going to be coming up, and I'm definitely taking some mental notes on those of us that
for
are not
sure.
supporting this cause. And like I said, if you need help, reach out. We're here.
Absolutely. So
No judgment, no pressure. We are here.
Perfect. Could not have put that in any better words, Locke. Again, I cannot thank you all enough. Make sure you go to our website. We do have merch for sale on there now. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, tumblers, hats, stickers, you name it, it's on there. Right now, up until February 14th, if you buy a shirt or a hoodie from our website, 10% of our proceeds will be going to the Missouri First Responder Network. They unfortunately had some funding cut, and they are some very heavy mental health resources for first responders here. So we're going to try to help in any way we possibly can. So 10% of our sales will be going to that. So make sure you go on. Not only do you get a cool shirt to represent our podcast and what we're doing, your money is going to be helping the state and local first responders. And as soon as we make that donation, I'll be posting it online. Again, visit our website. We've got resources, merch. You can learn about who Lochie and I are, what we do, and why we're standing for this. And
Well, and I know we focus our main focus, of course, is the mental illness. But if you're also struggling with addiction, we have resources for addiction.
Absolutely.
And please reach out if you are struggling with addiction. I saw locally, too, I don't remember where it was. I'd have to look on Facebook, Alcoholics Anonymous, a new group that's going to be meeting. So if you are struggling with that and you need some help, please let us know. Veterans, military, first responders. Like I said, if you're ready for that point.
Yep, you can reach us on Facebook. You can email us. If you can find my phone number out there, you're welcome to give me a call. You're welcome to call Lochie. I'm sure any of our guests that have been on here are willing to help in any way they possibly can. So you can find us on Facebook, X, TikTok. You can find us just about anywhere. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and this video, now that we have video of us actually doing the episode, will be up on YouTube. So make sure you come by, check us out. Until then, we are back for now. I think we're off for another couple of weeks, and then we come back with Dale Whitner. Is that his name? Mm-hmm. Is it Dale? Whitener. I always pronounce stuff wrong. Dale will be joining us, I believe, as our next guest, and after that, it'll be Sheila Mueller. Is that her?
Yes.
Sheila? Yep. So Sheila will be joining us. I'll be putting the schedule out for February here in the next day or so. So until then, this has been Midwest Mayhem. I'm your host, Tyler.
And I'm Lochie.
And we cannot thank you guys enough. Dylan, thank you again, man.
Yes,
Truly.
Dylan, thank you.
Thank you guys.
So
Appreciate it.
We will catch you guys here soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Midwest Mayhem Podcast. You can find us on socials, Facebook, TikTok, and X. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, or directly on our website at www.midwestmayhempodcast.com. On our website, you can find merchandise for sale, including t-shirts, hoodies, tumblers, stickers, and more. All merchandise sales go directly back into supporting this mission and helping support first responders. You can also find mental health resources, learn more about your hosts, and explore everything Midwest Mayhem has to offer. Thank you all for listening to the Midwest Mayhem Podcast, where we turn courage into conversation.